Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to give you the most effective tips to improve your art. And I did want to say I finally found this clear sleeve that goes in between pages so it stops from bleed through, so I was pretty happy with that. So the first tip that I would have is to watch other artists process or like videos on how they draw to see how they go about doing it, so you can try to mimic that, not copy the art exactly, but try to do the same process that they do. Some of the artists on YouTube that I love to watch are Static Wool, Caroline Art, Drawing with Waffles, Femk, Crab Clouds, and Deja Vu Art. Of course, I will have all those YouTubers linked in my description below. The next art tip that I would have is to do studies on what you want to improve on. So for me, I always wanted to improve on portraits because I feel like my proportions are kind of off and I can't capture the likeness of people and references like other artists can, so that's an area that I've been practicing more on so that I can improve. For other artists, it may be just practicing with a certain art supply or doing anatomy or trying to find your style. It can be very different for everyone. So the next tip that I have is to have a junk sketchbook where you can experiment with your art. And I don't do this very often, so I'm not the best at saying what you should or shouldn't do, but I find if I do get a cheaper sketchbook, I'm more likely to draw in it because I feel like I'm not going to ruin it, or because it was so cheap I'm not worried about ruining it. So that is why it is a good idea to have that junk sketchbook that you can draw in or sketch in and not worry about making finished pieces. All that to say that your sketchbook should be somewhere where you practice and everything doesn't have to be perfect. I know that most of my videos I do have very finished pieces because that's just what I prefer to video, but on my sketchbook tours you do see the pages that I'm not so happy with and the ones that aren't as complete as others. And the next thing kind of plays off of this. You won't like everything that you create, and that's okay. Not everything has to be perfect, and you shouldn't hold yourself to that standard each time because it can lead to burnout. Even the best artists have pieces that they're not happy with, and the most important thing you can do after that is to continue to create and to draw and not let that setback keep you from creating. Even if the art is a train wreck, don't let it discourage you. Keep making art because it will only start to get better. And even as you're getting better, there's still going to be pieces that you're not happy with. It's just part of the art process, and you shouldn't let it get to your head. I know that's easier said than done, but if you can try to keep a positive mindset throughout the whole art process, then it tends to turn out better and you have a more positive experience. I also try to give myself grace when I haven't drawn in a while, just because I tend to be a little bit rusty and out of practice. So when I start drawing again, I don't necessarily try to do a finished piece. I just try to sketch and get basic shapes out. My next tip would just to be to draw a lot. Draw, draw, draw. You can't improve if you're not practicing. And I think that's really important too. No matter what you're trying to draw, just draw. Because I tend to do better, my art tends to do better when I have a better habit of drawing once or twice a week. I know that seems pretty self-explanatory, but I felt like it was still important to say that you should be drawing if you want to improve. Also, because if you're not drawing, you're not practicing those learned skills that you have been doing throughout each piece that you create, so you do get rusty and you do art pieces that you don't like as much. I think this is kind of a big debate, and I'll give you my side of it. I do think artists can be taught. I don't think it's a skill that you are just given at birth. I do think that the mindset of artists wanting to create and having that need to make art is there, so they practice more and therefore hone in on their skills. But I do think regular people can become artists if they would practice and draw and do all the things that artists do. And you could tell that just by looking at every artist's older sketchbooks. Their first sketchbooks are probably some of the worst ones that they've started off with as a kid, and the more and more that they drew and practiced, it got better and better. My next tip would be to create things that get you out of your comfort zone. What I mean by that is doing like art challenges, like the 5-minute, 3-minute, 1-minute challenges, and even like draw this in your style challenges, anything like that, even the 30-day art challenges, something that is going to challenge you in your skill so that you can improve on it. I have personally done the 5-minute challenge, and it kind of just gives me a way to convey what I'm trying to convey in a short amount of time, and not focus on the tiny little details, but getting the overall picture. Which is great for me because so often I get caught up in the small little details, and sometimes it's better to not have those. Plus, to me, you can't improve on something if you stay in your comfort zone and don't try anything else or experiment in any other way, because you're not going to try those things that are out of your comfort zone. Every time I do get a new art supply, I do feel a little bit nervous to start using it, just because I always want my art to turn out good, and there is a learning curve when you get a new art supply. The most recent new art supply that I got was my RTX acrylic markers, and those ones did take a drawing to get used to and figure out how to use them, but once I did figure out how to use them, they're one of my favorite art supplies. So I feel like by staying in your comfort zone, you don't get to try those newer and funner ideas. The next thing that I would say is that you don't need the most expensive art supplies to make great art. A pencil and paper is really truly all you need. And I find when I use the basics, or if I'm getting overwhelmed by the amount of art supplies I do have, when I go back to the basics, I tend to do better, and I'm able to focus on the skill rather than trying to use all these different art supplies. I say that as I'm using alcohol markers and colored pencils and fine liners in this piece, but I was actually feeling in the mood to use these different art supplies. When I do get overwhelmed, I do try to do simple things and just create and not really focus on making a finished piece. And this point, I don't mean not to buy any of the expensive art supplies. I think you should buy what it works best for you. And if that is an expensive art supply and that's what inspires you, then you can go for that. But I tend to try to stick to the cheaper art supplies just because, like I said, with a more expensive art supply, I'm less likely to use it because I don't want to use it up. Whereas my lesser expensive art supplies I use more often. And no, this video is not sponsored by Ahuhu, but I tend to gravitate towards their markers a lot just because they are less expensive than Copic markers, and I feel like their blending capabilities are very, very similar to Copic. I wouldn't say they were exact same, and there's a wide array of colors, and I think they're more affordable for artists. And not only do I use their markers, but I am currently using their sketchbook as well. I still haven't decided how I feel about the sketchbook, but I definitely will know how I feel about it when I complete it and do the sketchbook tour, so stay tuned for that. And my last and final tip before I let you guys watch the rest of the video is that sometimes you have to force yourself to make art. I actually did force myself to make this piece because I really wasn't feeling in the mood to draw, but I knew I needed to create something because this was the first free weekend I had in a while, and I wanted to draw, but I felt like anything I would create wouldn't be good enough, so I forced myself to go through with it, and I ended up creating this piece that I actually really enjoyed. I did start off doing this background green, and I don't know why I chose this green. I just picked it out of the group. I end up changing it to this darker maroon red color that's more of a fall vibe with these pears, and I like it a lot more, but I did start out with the green. And luckily the red color was really dark, so it was able to cover up all that green really nicely. But back to what I was saying before, you do have to force yourself sometimes to create art. Just because if you don't, then you will always be in the mindset of not creating because it won't be good enough, and then you'll definitely lose the skill. But I also agree, if you are in an extreme art block, forcing yourself to create art is not going to help. I only do that when I feel a little bit less inspired, or I have free time and I know I need to draw to get in some practice. I will force myself. I know I said that was the last tip, but I have a little bit of advice. Just do what inspires you. And lately I have been really inspired by the fall and all the colors, so I decided to do drawings and pictures based off of that. And I tend to enjoy that more when I'm inspired by certain seasons. So just draw what inspires you, and you tend to enjoy that process more. I'm not gonna lie, at this point in the piece, I still wasn't super happy with it. I didn't start becoming more happy with this drawing until I added the colored pencil and the highlights, and then it all came together and I really liked how it looked. And I really hope this video helped all you artists out there, and if there is a tip that I missed, let me know in the comments below what your favorite tip is to improve your art, because I'm definitely happy to learn new things because I'm always looking to improve my art. And if you can't tell, I do have a habit of blocking in color behind my pictures just because I feel like it makes it look a little more colorful instead of just having the plain white background. And as always, I do get my references from Pinterest, so that is linked down below in my description if you want to check out the references that I use in my videos. If you're still watching, let me know by commenting the pear emoji, and I will get to see all the people who've made it this far. I feel like I've done a lot of talking this video, but I truly do hope that it has helped some artists that have struggled with their art. Now I'll let you watch in silence me put the final finishing touches on this piece with colored pencil and add the highlights. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.